Welcome back to Engineers Workshop. So got a number of projects that I have to tick off the list. If you remember from last week, I said I was going to start work again on the radial arm saw, the actual arm, which when I was disassembling it, I cracked the casting because when I was trying to release the broken off lock lever, I did not know it, but this has a left-hand thread, and I was actually tightening it instead of loosening it, so the extra pressure cracked that casting. Had it welded up. Got to clean out that weld that projects in the bore. So I'm going to take advantage of the rotary head feature of the K&T with a roughing cutter and walk that around until it is close to, get that weld down to a few thousandths projection, and then I'm going to use a boring head with a new carbide tool and try to accurately bore that entire thing to fit the plug piece that it tightens up against. But before I can do that, I have to fix this locking lever. And I think I'm going to do kind of the same thing I did on my son's pulley spacer. I'm going to turn this down to where I have a shoulder, put a weld lead in over here, and then I've got another piece. This, I believe, is from an old wrist pin. It has a cross hole in it, and I'm going to use the cross hole as a tightening, like where I can slip a bar in and tighten it. So I get to bore that out as well. So that should be a fun project. Marry these two together. Don't have to have this big, but I have to turn this down, bore it, and then press those together. Another small project I have is making a fuel fitting out of a piece of 3/8/24. Looks like he maybe made this out of a hex bolt. And before I do that, I have to improve the fit of this. My son said that this goes on, but it does not fully seat. So I have a feeling it's the old, chamfer is not letting it seat. The radius in the corner is holding that chamfer up from seating correctly. So we've got a projection that looks like this. Let me exaggerate that radius. And the piece I've got, that chamfer is smaller. And so I've got to remove that interference right there. So let's do that one first. That'll be the quickest. Got this 0 to 1/2 inch Jacobs chuck at, I think, an antique store, and it came with a number 1 Morse adapter and the 1 to 2, but the problem with it is this one is bent and it's got some run out. And if you look at the chuck, this is a Jacobs 34B 0 to 1/2 inch, and it has a 45/64-16 thread, which my father-in-law calls an illegal thread. So I haven't been able to find a new, replacement chuck adapter to it. So if I put enough Morse adapters on this thing, it'll stick out. But what I'm thinking is I can probably, with the lead hammers, sweep this and get it running better than it is, which is quite bad. I'm going to trade my camera for an indicator. I'm going to see how bad this thing really is. And you can see the indicator move. My high side is at about 1 o'clock as I'm looking at it. And if I come around here, I'm actually already off the chuck, so let's see if I can make an adjustment. That moved it a few thousandths. few thousandths again. I bet I've moved it 20 thousandths so far. Well, it looks pretty good. I'm gonna face this off and see if I can put a center on it. Basically what we're making here is a 1/4 inch OD fuel return fitting. Better check to see where we're at. We're still over 300 thousandths. Trying to see if I can make him a little, like a hose barb, you know, with some little projection. 260. So we gotta go another 10. Okay, just a hair under 250 there. I'm gonna have to come up with a tool that can plunge in. Here's a high-speed steel cutter with a lot of positive rake that my father-in-law made for something. But that end looks like it'll do what I'm looking for it to do. All right, 255, 5 thousandths over 1/4 inch. Let's see what we can do to improve the finish on this a little bit. Looks like a fuel fitting to me. This guy starts out at about 0.975. about 713. Let's maybe shoot for 700 thousandths. That should have got us within 10, or within 3, excuse me. 4 thousandths more. On the money. Okay, so I'll set up for a press fit of 700 thousandths, but I'm going to V this back for a weld lead in like I did on the spacer. $794. Going to start roughing down a shoulder down to that diameter that the locking bolt is. I'm going to try a 20 thousandths depth of cut for a total of a 40 thousandths reduction in diameter. Finally getting some color in the tips. Let's try 50. 25 thousandths depth of cut for a 50 thousandths reduction in diameter. Lathe definitely loads up on that. But the chip's starting to break. Try 60 thousandths at a lower speed. Not a great finish, but the chips are breaking nice. This is the actual 40 thousandths deep cut per side. Let's see what happens. And last we'll try 50 per side. So that's a true 50 thousandths depth of cut, 100 thousandths removal in diameter. Trying more aggressive feeds. This is 8/1000 feed. Quite a bit of spring when I feed that hard. Should be pretty much right at an inch at this point. And our mating piece is 975, so we want to match that diameter right there. So 25 thousandths. Spring pass ought to do it. Okay, we are at our target. Those are some wicked shavings. Well, I'm past the shoulder, so I can switch over to a boring bar now. Yeah, I think that's the first time I parted off something without breaking the parting tool. About 585. We've got to go up to 700, or a couple thousandths press for 700 thousandths nominal fit. 115 thousandths. This should be about 625. 620. 694. $696. I'm just going to go a whisker more. Try to go for about a 2/1000 press. I think that's going to be about right. Doesn't want to start, but it's about 2/1000 under nominal. Put a tiny lead in on it. I'd say that's a match. Okay, next step will be to press these together. Let my son weld them up and then take a finish cleanup pass back to this diameter, because that is just big enough that it won't drag on the casting as it goes in. So I have the press here, but I'm going to try heating that and just see if we can press it together, or just heat it up and let it drop in. But I have the press if necessary. Well, that took more persuasion to get it together than I had anticipated. Just because to show you, I need a bigger press. It is not coming apart. I put it in the lathe. It runs pretty true. But once, obviously, my son welds this, we've got to go back and clean this up. And I'll redress the OD, face it, and we'll set it up, and we'll bore this to a nice, probably 5/8, whatever this cleans up to, for a round bar to use as a tightening fixture. And that'll be in the next video. So hope you enjoyed this. 1, 2, 3, 4 little lathe projects knocked out. Back next week with some action on the K&T rotary head mill, because I'm going to use a boring head in that same little, use this boring bar in it and bore out that hole. Then I'll probably put a nice chamfer on that. I've got room for flats if I want it. I have many options for tightening this when it comes time with that left-hand thread.